Rev up your engines!
Gerardo Salgado. He says, can you put conventional oil in a car after you put in synthetic? Can it damage the engine? Now, I've even talked to engineers about this, and they give me some stuff that I really don't believe, to tell you the truth. My experience with cars is you're best to stick to one type of oil and leave it that way. Now, I've had customers that have an older car. They use conventional oil the whole time. Then they think, oh, I'm going to use synthetic oil. Then they find that it's either leaking more oil or burning more oil. Now, the engineers, some of them have told me that's impossible, but I know they're full of baloney because I've seen it actually happen. Synthetic oil is lighter and it cleans better. And a lot of times, if you got an old engine, it's going to start leaking and it's going to start burning because it can clean some of the carbon off the rings that are sealing it and then start burning more oil. Now, you're talking about going from synthetic to conventional. Now, I've never seen anybody have a problem with that as long as you use the same grade oil. If you have like a 10W30 and you're going from synthetic to conventional, you'd have no problems other than you'd need to change it more often. But I would not believe in going from conventional to synthetic on an older engine. Now, let's say you got a brand new car and you've only driven a few thousand miles. It's not going to make any difference. But once an engine is run on a certain type of oil, my advice is to stick to it. Stephen the Best says, Scotty, which car brand is worse, Kia or Chevy? Well, if you want to take an average these days and you're talking about modern Kias, I say Chevys are worse than the Kias because the modern Kias are better made than the older ones. There's no arguing that. And Chevy, their quality just seems to be going downhill every year. So on that pick, if it was a modern car that was made in the last 3 years or so, I would definitely go Kia before I'd go Chevy. I mean, I'd go Toyota or Honda anyways. But out of that choice, yeah, I'd say I'd get a Kia rather than a Chevy. Paul Gonzalez, 5830, says, I got a '02 Volvo S60 with 177,000 miles. I think the transmission is going. Should I replace it or sell it? Sell it. Get rid of the things as fast as you can. Just get rid of it. I had a customer with one of those, and I wouldn't have given them $500 for the car. But I said, take it to CarMax. They say they buy anything. And they gave them like $5,500 for the car. I said, great. You got your money? Get rid of it. Drive it there, and if it still runs halfway decent, see what they'll give and get rid of it. You do not want to rebuild. To rebuild a Volvo transmission, it costs you anywhere from $4,000 to $7,000 to do it correctly. So get rid of it. Don't fix it. They become endless money pits at that age anyways. They might be a good sign for you to get rid of it now rather than wait till something big goes and you can't get anything for it. Khalid House says, Scotty, what are your thoughts on getting a 2010 Toyota Tundra 4.6 V8 with 102,000 miles? It's sold at a Toyota dealer. Any tips you can get? Okay, well, what if it's sold at a Toyota dealer? They're going to be asking too much money for it. They always do. I got my son a Toyota Celica years ago. I found one at the Toyota dealer that had twice the mileage of one I found on the street. The one on the street, I ended up buying them for $1,200. At the dealer, they wanted $8,000 for a car that had twice the mileage. So you're always going to pay too much on them. Now, they're good engines if they're taken care of. Those things can run a really long time, but try to find one outside of the dealership because the dealers always charge way too much money for their used cars. They're harder to find Toyota pickup trucks used because people get them and they generally want to keep them forever because they're great trucks. But try finding one somewhere other than a dealership because they charge way too much money for their vehicles that are used. Kavango Bayarsakan says, Scotty, how are ya? I have a 2004 Mitsubishi Outlander 4G69 engine. My power steering pulley wobbles. What should I do? Do I have to change the pump or just the pulley? Thank you. Well, you got to change the whole pump. When the pulley wobbles, it's wobbling because the shaft is gone. And listen to me here. Do not buy a rebuilt pump. They're often horrible. The guys that rebuild them generally do a crappy job. A lot of times with that, you're better off going to a junkyard and buying a used pump. If it's you spin it, it doesn't wobble, then you are buying a rebuild pump. Now, there's many Chinese companies that make brand new aftermarket ones, and they work perfectly fine. You can find them on the internet. I use that a lot of times because I never use rebuilt ones. But you either want to go new or go to a junkyard and buy a used one. Vlad Ward says, hey, Scotty, I have a 96 Silverado. What do you think about the spider injection in them? When they were new, and that's a 96, so it's what, 23 years old. They were a good system. They work quite well for those big engines. That said, the spider injection, because they look kind of like spider, that's all plastic. The lines are plastic. The injectors have a lot of plastic. Even the fuel pressure regulator is plastic. They're inside the intake manifold. As they age, the heat destroys them. So then you got to replace them. And let's say you got a V8 with spider injection. When they get that old and they start to go bad, unfortunately, you got to replace everything. You're going to spend probably a couple grand in parts and labor if you pay a mechanic to do it. Because I've had them where they'll say, misfire in cylinder number 3 and 5. So you replace the injectors on 3 and 5 after doing all that work and put it together, and shortly thereafter, you get other misfires. You got to replace the whole system when they go bad. Just realize that if you're going to work on them.
So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.